सर, प्रोफेसर BL शर्मा हायर मैथमेटिक्स ट्रस्ट और ECC के संयुक्त तत्वाधान में आयोजित क्लासिकल ग्रुप्स और रिप्रेजेंटेशन थ्योरी विषय पर यह सेमिनार के 6ठे व्याख्यान में मैं रामजी पांडे आप सभी प्रतिभागियों एवं आचार्यों का स्वागत करता हूं। सर्वप्रथम मैं प्रोफेसर रामजी लाल सर से निवेदन करता हूं कि वे इस व्याख्यान को शुरू करें। धन्यवाद। सर प्लीज।
Okay, I'll share my screen. मैं शेयर कर रहा हूँ। So, good afternoon to all of you. So let me first start with the ask you people if you have any difficulty in those lectures, you may discuss. I mean, I'll start. Okay, if you want to discuss anything. हेलो, हमारी साउंड जा रही है ना, आवाज जा रही है ना?
जी सर।
तो और नहीं तो बीच में भी आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं और कुछ डिस्कस करना ज़्यादा अच्छा रहता है। अभी तो कोई खास चीज़ हमने नहीं किया है और बहुत स्लो हैं हम लोग, तो विल कम टू थिंग्स। सो आई जस्ट अगेन रिकॉल, व्हाइट बोर्ड जूम का ही आ गया है क्या? आई एम सॉरी, जूम वाला आ गया है ये। हाँ, ये आया है। ये शेयर हो रहा वन बोर्ड।
व्हाइट बोर्ड दिख रहा है इस समय।
हाँ, ये जूम का आ गया था, लेकिन अब अच्छा, ये जो है ये एक्चुअली ये आया, आ गया।
जी सर, आ गया।
अच्छा, इसको थोड़ा हम बड़ा बना ले क्या इसी पर रहने देते हैं? चलिए, तो लास्ट टाइम we started discussing about orthogonal group. You see, so orthogonal group ON. So we orthogonal group ON. Now, so this was actually the group which keeps this form, the Euclidean inner product invariant. So that means A belongs to ON. So I'll just recall it. A belongs to ON if and only if X bar A, Y bar A equal to X bar Y bar for every X, Y belonging to Rn. So it preserves, so in other words, it preserves, angle, and it's a kind of isometry, and indeed this simply means that XA, AA transpose is identity, which is your A transpose A. And you can easily observe that this also is an isometry in the sense that if you take XA and Y and the distance YA, so this norm is the same as the norm of X minus Y, the distance between X and Y. So it preserves Euclidean metric. And indeed, this is also equivalent. So all these are equivalent. I just write down. So this is also equivalent to say that it is a transformation which preserves length. And you can also see that if we keep a point, say origin fixed, then these are the isometries of the Euclidean space. If we fix origin, then these are the only isometries. And so last time we were discussing this orthogonal group. So now, so again, I'll recall some of the properties of the orthogonal group. So orthogonal group ON, we had the determinant map. So I'm again recalling those things. Determinant map, which is your 1 minus 1. Determinant of orthogonal matrix is 1 and minus 1. And this is a SON, which is a special orthogonal group. So this is an exact sequence, which is a split exact sequence. And I observed that ON is simply the semi-direct product SON and Z2, where Z2 is this group. So this is SON, and naturally, as we are doing for the general linear group, we ask the question: what is the? I mean, we can talk of something about the algebraic structure of orthogonal group. The topological structure we will discuss a little later. So orthogonal group, and we see that SON is a normal subgroup, and Z2, of course. As I said, we also observed that the center of ON is scalar matrices. So this is also Z2, I minus identity. And we also observed that the P and R, the permutation matrices, the group of permutation matrices is also contained in ON. So and the diagonal subgroup of ON, a diagonal subgroup which is the intersection of ON with the diagonal subgroup of GN and R, which is precisely the set of all diagonal subgroup is the diagonal subgroup this plus minus 1, and plus minus 1. So this is Z2 to the power n. So this is Z2 to the power n. So this is PNR, and then obviously, as in case of GNR, we have a subgroup this also D, which is your DPNR, and this is a subgroup of orthogonal group. This is a subgroup of orthogonal group. So you also see that every finite group is represented as a subgroup of orthogonal group, because P and R is indeed Sn, and every group of order n is a subgroup of P and R. So all these observations we have seen last time. I think this is there. And furthermore, what more normal subgroups are here? What more normal subgroups are here? We'll discuss about it. Indeed, in case of GNF, we saw that normal subgroups which are not contained in the center precisely contain the special linear group. So similar result is true over here also, but the proof is we have to follow a different thing here. So we'll come to that maybe later, and we'll see that it is just a SON and plus minus 1. These were the normal subgroups of ON, and this will come from the Lie algebra considerations. Actually, SON, perhaps you can easily observe that if you take A to be a skew symmetric matrix, then E to the power A is a member of SON. And if you look into those matrices A for which E to the power A belong to SON, then that has a nice structure which we shall discuss, and that will be that is the Lie algebra structure. So that means this SON is the structure which comes out to be here SON corresponding to SON, which is a Lie algebra. And there is a faithful correspondence between the Lie algebras and the corresponding groups, which is such that the subgroups corresponds to subalgebras and the ideals corresponds to the normal subgroup. And it is easy to prove that SON is simple. The result in this form is easy to observe, and that will do maybe sometimes later. So that I'm sorry, this we'll talk a little later. So that is about the normal subgroups of, and then we also observe that the members of ON are see, we also defined reflections. So what were the reflections? So I'll just recall reflections. What was a reflection? So if you take any hyperplane, so if you take a hyperplane that is determined by a unit vector x bar, in the sense that px bar is those y bar belonging to Rn, such that x bar, x and y, they are orthogonal to each other. I mean, which is orthogonal to. So this is actually this is the orthogonal complement of x. This is px, and this is a hyperplane. This is of dimension 1, dimension n-1, and you can write Rn as a direct sum of this x and this orthogonal complement. And any subspace of dimension n-1, any hyperplane in Rn, there exists unit vector x bar for which that is px. So every hyperplane is of this type. Every hyperplane is of this type. Every hyperplane is of this type. I mean, there will be x bar which is unique up to sign such that that hyperplane is px. So every hyperplane is of this type, and then we define reflection. So that is reflection if you take about this plane, and we observe that sigma x of y, if you take this y, then that is y minus 2xy. I'm taking x to be unit vector xy x. So that is a reflection. It reflects about this hyperplane. So it fixes the members of px and it moves x to minus x. So it's a reflection about x. And this can easily be observed that this is an orthogonal transformation. Sigma x is also a member of On. And the determinant of sigma x is -1. Indeed, if you take a basis of px and adjoin that px to adjoin x to that basis, then the matrix representation of sigma x with respect to that ordered basis will be simply -1, -1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So you see that is a reflection. So x bar is the axis about which it's a reflection. So this is a reflection, and then we also yes. So and then the rotation. So SO2, we observed SO2 the members SO2 can be uniquely expressed as cos theta, sine theta, minus sine theta, cos theta, such that theta lies between 0 and 2 pi. So that is SO2, which is isomorphic to the circle group S1. So these are all things which we have observed. And in fact, O2, if you take the members of O2, that will be a reflection here. That will be a reflection about, so if you look into the O2, so that is a member of O2 is either of this type, or it will be something like, so its determinant has to be -1. So it will be minus cos theta, say sine theta, minus sine theta, minus sine theta, and cos theta. So it is something like this, and A will be either this, which is in SO2, or it is of this type, and this can be easily seen that this is a reflection about y is equal to tangent x tangent theta by 2 or something like that. You can easily observe. It's just plain geometry, so that you can do. So a member of O2 is either a reflection about a line or it is a rotation. And a similar thing we also observed for SO3. And SO3 also we observed SO3. So SO3, the members of SO3, every member of SO3 is congruent, is similar, is a conjugate to a matrix of this type: cos theta, sine theta, minus sine theta, cos theta, where theta lies, theta has the earlier range. So this is SO3. Every member of SO3 is conjugate to this under SO3. I mean, you can take a member of SO3 itself. So that is conjugate to. So you have described the conjugacy class of SO3 here. Now this result we wanted to generalize further. I mean, for more in more general setting. So the theorem which you want to prove is the following. So theorem. So let A be a member of ON. So this is orthogonal axis geometry, geometry of orthogonal transformations, so to say. So let A be a member of ON. Then there exists a family, there exists pairwise orthogonal subspaces, say here V, W, P1, P2, and say PR here. Orthogonal subspaces which are invariant under A, which are also invariant under A, which are invariant under A, in the following sense, which we are going to describe. And each PI is a two-dimensional space. So these are subspaces together with angles theta1, theta2, theta say R, where theta1 is less than or equal to theta2 is less than or equal to theta R, and theta R lying between 0, 0 and less than or equal to pi. So given a belonging to ON, we have the following things. There are spaces, there are subspaces which are invariant under A. That means if you take any member of X here, then XA is also there, and they are orthogonal to each other. Every member of B is orthogonal to pairwise orthogonal. So they are all orthogonal, pairwise orthogonal, and these are invariant subspaces. These P1, P2, PR are two-dimensional subspaces. P1, P2, PR are two-dimensional subspaces. Are two-dimensional subspaces, two planes, two-dimensional subspaces. So there exists such a system here, such that A is identity. So A restricted to V is identity. I mean, that is XA is equal to X for every X belonging to A, V, and A restricted to W is minus identity. Means here it is minus, so that means XA is equal to minus X here on A, and for any, and okay, so for I, if we take an orthonormal basis, say UI, VI. So these UPIs are what they are planes, they are two-dimensional subspaces. So if we take orthonormal basis UI and VI perpendicular any axis, this is, I mean, this you can take any one. So then what happens is UI A is equal to cos theta. That means it is a rotation of angle cos theta I, cos theta I UI plus sine theta I VI, and VI A is equal to minus sine theta I UI plus cos theta I VI. So that means it is simply a rotation. simply a rotation through an angle theta I in the plane pi. And theta 1, theta 2, theta r. Just for the for the uniqueness kind of thing, I have taken theta 1 to be less than or equal to theta 2 to be less than or equal to theta r. Such a thing is there. So in other words, this how this A looks like. A is simply identity on certain subspaces, and it is minus identity on certain subspaces. So dimension of V will be something, dimension of W may be something, but these PIs are of dimension 2. So see, the dimension of W will simply say that A is composition of as many reflections as the dimension of W. So that means A can be thought of as a composition of certain reflections, the number of reflections being the dimension of W, and rotations about certain orthogonal planes. So that is this thing. So a particular case of this was when n is equal to 3. So n equal to 3, as you have obtained for SO3, it is either 1 cos theta. For n equal to 3, we have seen here that this is either this is cos theta sine theta here, and sine theta cos theta for 3, or it is -1 here and this. So for SO3, indeed we have observed that. So this is the theorem. Yes. 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 Any problem? So this is what we want to prove. The proof is very easy, and by induction on n. So proof by the induction on n. So if n is equal to 1, there is nothing to do. And indeed, we have proved it for n equal to 1, 2, and 3. That is already done. So for n equal to 1, 2, 3, it's already done. So assume induction hypothesis. Assume it to be true for n. So to prove for n plus 1. So let A belong to ON plus 1. Now see here that A belongs to ON plus 1. So what are the eigenvalues? So I'll now talk about the eigenvalues. So okay, so so if lambda is an eigenvalue of A, so you see that eigenvalue of A need not lie in R, right? Orthogonal transformation need not have eigenvalue, need not have all its real eigenvalues. For example, if you look into this, say here, say pi by 4, theta equal to pi by 4, that you will not get a real eigenvalues here. So if lambda is an eigenvalue of A, then with eigenvector with. So I'm taking this lambda to be an eigenvalue, means I'm allowing complex numbers to enter. I'm allowing the complex number to enter. So lambda may be complex number also. So lambda is an eigenvalue of A in the complex space in Cn. So lambda is an eigenvalue with a unit eigenvector. X bar. So unit eigenvector means the complex unit eigenvector. Then observe, then what will happen? Then X bar A is equal to lambda X. So then you see A, you know, A is an orthogonal matrix. So A indeed is a Hermitian matrix because it's a real matrix. So its bar is A. So it's a Hermitian matrix, so to say. So therefore this X bar A. So I'm taking this complex inner product. This is a complex inner product, no, complex unitary inner product. X bar A is what? So this is equal to this is what? X bar A is lambda X bar A is lambda X bar. So what will be this? This will be lambda bar XX. This is equal to this. And you know, A is a Hermitian matrix. A is orthogonal, but it is real. So it is also a Hermitian matrix, or you can just say that this X bar A star transpose and bar, right? So that will be equal to X bar A X bar A transpose, because bar will be the same. So that is identity. So that is X bar star here, X bar transpose and X bar star means X bar bar. So incidentally, if X bar is a vector A1, A2, AN, then I'll write X bar for A1 bar, A2 bar, AN bar, where A1, A2, AN are complex numbers. So here these are the complex conjugate of that vector. So you see that this is also the same thing as X bar here. So therefore, you see that lambda bar is lambda bar is 1. So that means lambda is 1. So lambda therefore is something like e to the power I theta. So lambda is e to the power I theta. Right? So any eigenvalue is of this type, e to the power I theta. For example, theta may be 2 pi, so then it will be 1. And if it is say pi, then it will be -1. So therefore, you see, our theta is 0, then it is 1. So any eigenvalue will be of this type. And also observe that if X bar is an eigenvalue, X bar A is equal to e to the power I theta X bar, then X bar A will be equal to e to the power minus I theta X bar here. So that means if e to the power I theta is an eigenvalue and the corresponding eigenvector is X bar, then e to the power minus I theta, the conjugate was, I mean, obviously it had to be there. It has to be there. And that is also an eigenvalue, and it corresponds to the eigenvector, the conjugate of X bar. So this is very simple observation. So that is the thing here. Now I hide it when we unitary matrices, it becomes okay. So now, so this is the thing. So eigenvalues are e to the power I theta and e to the power minus, the conjugates are there. Now let us assume. So I'm going to use the induction. So suppose, so it's eigenvalue. Suppose one of its eigenvalue is 1. Suppose 1 is an eigenvalue. 1 is an eigenvalue, and X bar is an eigenvector. X bar is a unit eigenvector. Then naturally X bar and orthogonal complement X bar transpose here. So X bar orthogonal complement, this will be R to the power n plus 1, right? And as before, these two are invariant under A. X orthogonal complement is also invariant under A because A is an orthogonal matrix. So it preserves inner product. So orthogonal will go to the orthogonal angle it preserves. So therefore, this is equal to this. Rn plus 1 is equal to this. And if you restrict A to orthogonal complement here, that is also an orthogonal matrix. And the dimension of this is n. And by induction hypothesis, you can always find out a subspace, say V dash, so such that X bar is V dash, direct sum W, direct sum P1, P2, PR, etc., satisfying those property. So naturally, you add x here in v dash. So v you can take to be x and direct sum v dash, and the result is there. So there is nothing to do here. It's a simple case here. And similarly, so if 1 is an eigenvalue, we have done. If not, if -1 is an eigenvalue, then also, so then also we are done. So similar, then also, then similarly, then again, we are done as before. In that case, -1 dimension, I mean, that vector x bar will appear in W. V will be 0. If 1 is not an eigenvalue, then V will disappear. The V will is 0. The vector space V is of dimension 0. There is no V if 1 is not an eigenvalue. If -1 is an eigenvalue, again the same argument works. So therefore, if -1 and 1 is an eigenvalue, we are done. Now suppose neither one that A has no real eigenvalues. Because if it has a real eigenvalue, then the mod of that has to be 1. It is either 1 or -1. So suppose that A has no real eigenvalues. So then in that case, the eigenvalues are of the type e to the power I theta, theta lying between 0. It cannot be 0 to 2 pi. It will lie between 0 and 2 pi. And among all those theta, look at the minimum one. So let theta 1 be the smallest angle such that e to the power I theta 1, positive I am taking here, e to the power I theta 1 is an eigenvalue. This is an eigenvalue. So theta 1 is the eigenvalue, and e to the power minus I theta 1 will also be an eigenvalue, as we have already observed. So e to the power minus theta 1 is also an eigenvalue, is also an eigenvalue. E to the power I theta 1 and e to the power minus I theta 1 is also an eigenvalue. And let us take this, let u1 be eigenvector corresponding to e to the power I theta and I theta 1, and v1 bar the corresponding eigenvector for e to the power minus I theta 1. And for simplicity, let me take this x1 and y1, x1 bar and y1 bar. X1 bar is an eigenvector corresponding to e to the power theta 1, and y1 bar is corresponding to minus e to the power minus I theta 1. So then you observe here, so these are complex numbers. And they are conjugate to each other. Okay, they are conjugate to each other. Indeed, y1 bar is x1 bar. That is something which we have already observed. That if lambda is an eigenvalue and x is a eigenvector corresponding to that, then lambda bar is an also eigenvalue, and x bar is eigenvector corresponding to that. So this is indeed x1 bar. So what you do, so these are complex one. So what you do, you take u1 bar to be x1 bar plus x1 bar upon norm of this. So complex norm, norm. And similarly, you take v1 bar to be x1 bar, but make it I because I want the real one. X1 minus x1 bar upon x1 bar, x1 minus x1 bar norm. right? So look at this. So now you see that u1 bar, so this norm of this is here. So this is a u1. Now you see that this is a real vector. This is the conjugate of this, so sum becomes a real vector. And this also becomes a real vector. v1 bar is I times this, so this also becomes a real vector. This is the conjugate one, complex, this is the complex conjugate. So if you take that, I will be there. So I square is -1. So this is a real vector, as you see here. And then what will be u1 bar A? u1 bar A will be equal to this 1 upon this norm, and x1 bar A plus x1 bar A, etc. And right, that will be equal to this. So then this will be what? This will be equal to x1 bar A was what? E to the power I theta 1, e to the power I theta 1 x1 bar. So this is your 1 upon this. Yeah, so e to the power I theta 1 and x1 bar here, and this was your e to the power minus I theta 1 x1 bar. And if you just look into this, you'll find that this is your u1 bar cos theta 1 plus v1 bar sine theta 1. And similarly, you can observe that v1 bar A will be equal to minus u1 bar sine, you just see it, and that is equal to v1 cos theta 1. So therefore, you get this representation here in P1. So your P1 is what? P1 is your the subspace generated by U1 and V1, U1 and V1. And now you take the orthogonal complement of this, this P1, direct sum P1 orthogonal complement and apply induction. So this is of dimension n minus 2. P1 orthogonal complement is dimension n minus 2. And you see that this is invariant under A. And then you can see that this is also invariant under A, and by induction hypothesis you are done. So V and W will be 0 in this case. V and W will be 0 in this case. So it is the rotations about the thing. And we have already observed that the reflections. Anyway, so that is this. So what does it mean? It simply means right? So that means this A can be written, the transformation A can be written as sigma say y1, sigma y2, sigma y say t here composed with this these rotations. So let me write these rotations R1, R2, say R something. I'm sorry, notations. Rotations R1, R2, RT, RR rotations, and these are reflections. So W which is the subspace Y1 bar generated by Y1, Y2, YT bar. So that is the so it is just composition of certain rotations and certain reflections and certain rotations. So that is basic structure theorem for the orthogonal. So okay, so consequently, you see that as a corollary, you see that any orthogonal matrix A in ON is conjugate to A unique. You see that V, W, P1, P2, PR, they were all unique, and the angles were also unique. I mean, that is invariant of the matrix. So that is conjugate to a unique matrix of this type. Matrix of this type. Some of them will be 1, 1, 1, 1 here. Some of them will be -1, -1, -1 here, and others will be diagonal blocks cos theta 1, sin theta 1, minus sin theta 1, cos theta 1, and so on and so on. So that is the structure of an orthogonal matrix. Every matrix A is conjugate not in not only in GNN, I am talking conjugate in ON, because those bases which we have taken, they form an orthonormal basis of Rn. So that is conjugate in ON. So we have described the conjugacy classes here, the conjugacy classes here, right? So that is here about the conjugacy classes of ON. So now you also observe here incidentally, yeah, so you can also observe that yeah, so you observe that matrices. So now let us allow us this theta I to take any value between 0 and 2 pi. So these things can be taken, I mean, you can just forget about these things, you can write. So you just consider this subgroup here. So consider this subgroup here, this cos theta 1, sin theta 1, minus sin theta 1, cos theta 1, etc., etc., etc. So look at the sets of this type that forms a subgroup of ON. Now I'm just allowing theta 1 is less than equal to theta 2, etc. ये condition हम यहाँ पे नहीं रख रहे हैं. So rotations or reflections, they are I am putting that. So that means this theta 1 either is this or minus sin theta 1, etc., etc. So you can put like this. So this forms a subgroup of ON. This forms a subgroup of ON, right? And this is something like which is indeed a torus, so to say. It is S1 cross S1 cross S1, something like that. I mean, of course, dimension 1 is 2. I'll make it. So it's a little vaguely I'm saying. I'll make these things more precise a little later. So just bear it. So therefore, it's something like this S1 cross S1. If these are the this is the some kind of torus. So ON contains some tori here, and these groups, which are the maximal, these are. I'll describe the maximal torus of ON. So to say. So these torus, which are maximal torus in ON, and this PNR, etc., PNR, etc., maximal torus are, so to say, you look into the normalizer of torus P, and then other subgroups as we described in case of GNR, these will play the similar role. I mean, we have the Tits pair kind of thing here also. There you remember this N, which was the normalizer of the diagonal subgroup, the normalizer of the diagonal subgroup. So here the torus will play the role of the diagonal subgroup, the maximal torus in compact group theory. So anyway, sorry, right. So let me, I'll come to these things maybe later. So that is there. And then you see, similarly, we have this unitary group. So I'll not talk much about the unitary group. The theory is similar. So unitary group. So look at the unitary group. What is the unitary group? So this is the group which keeps complex inner product invariant. Complex inner product invariant. That means A, which is a member of G and C, such that X bar A, X bar Y bar A is equal to X bar Y bar, where this is the complex unitary product here, and is equal to for every XY, belonging to Cn, and this is equivalent to say that A and as in case of orthogonal case, A bar transpose, which I'll write A tilde here, that is identity matrix. That is identity matrix. So this is Un. And what is determinant of Un? So A belonging to Un, will imply that determinant of A bar transpose is 1. That is determinant of A into determinant of A bar. A bar is the matrix in which all entries are conjugates of the corresponding entries of A. So therefore determinant A bar will be determinant A bar. So that means this is norm of determinant A square. So this is 1. So this is 1. And this means that determinant A is S1. Determinant A is S1. So you have this exact sequence S1 to 1, and here is your special unitary group SUN and 1, and again you have this UN is a semi-direct product here, SUN. Similarly, SUN. So we look to describe SUN. So I'll say something about SU2 first of all. SU1 is just your start. SU1 is just S1, you see. So therefore, so I'll describe SU2 now. So what is the SU2 here? SU2, the determinant has to be 1. So I'll just describe SU2 separately. SU2, what is that? So that is the matrix, 2 × 2 matrix. Okay, so what is U2? So let us take a matrix A, B, C, D. Now check that this belongs to UN if and only if A bar is equal to D and B bar minus B bar is equal to C. Minus B bar is equal to C. So check that, check it. So what is UN? UN is a group of the matrices, the 2 × 2 matrices, complex matrices, A, B minus B bar and A bar. So such that A and B are the complex numbers, right? So and non-zero, you see here, non-zero. A square plus B square is 0. So what is the determinant? Determinant is norm of A square plus norm of B square. So this you can also write as this. So A, so okay, so suppose you write A as alpha plus I beta, and beta and B to be gamma plus I delta. Suppose you write it like this. So then what will happen, where alpha, beta and gamma, delta are real numbers? So what will be this? This can be written as alpha plus I beta, and B is what? B is your gamma plus I delta, and this is your minus gamma plus I delta, and alpha minus I beta, right? Such that alpha, beta, gamma are real number, gamma, delta are real number. So this you can also write as alpha into identity matrix, real matrices I'm writing down. Alpha into identity matrix plus beta into I minus I, the diagonal matrix, this you can write down, right? Beta I minus I plus gamma. So I'm making it a real vector space, real coefficients are there. So therefore, and this is gamma into 1 minus 1 0 0, and then you take delta equal to delta into 0 0 I. So what I say here, just map it to alpha plus beta I plus gamma j, हो सकता है उल्टा पुल्टा थोड़ा करना पड़े, आप देख लीजिएगा, गामा आई प्लस डेल्टा जे, quaternion ring, you remember, right? So what is this? This is alpha is a real number, beta is a real number, gamma is a real number, delta is a real number. I square is -1 is equal to j square is equal to k square, and ij is equal to k, ji is equal to minus k. I'm sorry, here it is k. So ji is equal to minus k, and so on. So the quaternion multiplications are there. So you just look into this. So this is that kind of thing. And only the thing is that alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus delta square is non-zero, because that determinant, it is a UN, it's non-singular matrix. So alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus delta square is non-zero. Now, indeed, if you look into the algebra here, which is your R4, and look at these, the set of such matrices, alpha I plus beta, this thing, plus gamma, this thing, plus delta, this thing, and don't put the condition alpha, beta, gamma, delta, maybe anything. So this is a 4-dimensional space with this, and this as a basis. So this is R4 vector space, the 4-dimensional vector space, and in which you can have the coordinate-wise addition. You can have the multiplication. Multiplication is distributed by taking the this I into j into k by linearity. By linearity, take this multiplication on I, j, and k, and extend it by linearity over R. So then that is your algebra R4, and that is your division algebra. Yeah, that is what you have already seen. So this is your division algebra. And what is a group of units? That is your U2. That is your U2. So right, that is your U2. U2 is the group of units here. So that is this. And what is SU2? SU2 is the group of unit quaternions. So that is the unit quaternion. Determinant has to be 1. So that means alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus delta square has to be 1. So that is this can be identified with your alpha, beta, gamma, delta, such that alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus delta square is equal to 1. And the multiplication is there. No, alpha I plus beta, the usual multiplication of the matrices, the complex matrices, that makes it a group. So this S3, this can be identified with S3, and S3 has a group structure. Right? So S3 has a group structure. That means S3 you take as a, the vector A bar, which is your A1, A2, A3, A4, and so that you identify with A1I plus A2J plus A3K, and such that sigma AI square is equal to 1. So unit coordinate. So that you identify with this, or you identify with A1 plus I A2 and A1 minus I A2 and A3 plus I A4 and minus A3 plus I A4. So identify with this matrix, and so this S3 is in one-to-one correspondence with this, and you take the multiplication here, and that multiplication you pull back over in S3. So that is S3. You have a group structure on S3, and the multiplication is continuous and indeed differential is there. So this S3 is a group. S3, you have a continuous multiplication on S3 with respect to which it is a group. S1 was a group, and S3 is a group, and maybe you can talk of S7 also. So S3 is this SU2. S3 is simply SU2. So we shall look into the actions of these here. So this is your SU2, which has been identified here. So maybe I'll just, for the time, I'll just leave this. I'll come to these things again. So S3 has a multiplication here. Maybe let me tell you here a continuous multiplication on S3, it is there. So we'll come back to this. I'm sorry, I'm making a little this thing. So, but you see, let me make some observations here. You see, you consider ON. you may consider UN also for Hopf theory. So consider ON, and ON, acts on Sn minus 1. Am I right? Why? Because Sn minus 1 is what? Sn minus 1 is the set of unit vectors in Rn. So Sn minus 1 is what? This is x bar belonging to Rn, such that norm of x is equal to 1. So this is so therefore ON acts on this. So how it acts on this? You take any x bar in Sn minus 1 and a here. So x bar into a is also a member of Sn minus 1. So this is an action, right action, so to say. So Sn minus 1 acts, Sn minus 1 acts on Sn minus 1. Sorry, ON acts on Sn minus 1. ON acts on Sn minus 1. And you see, look at the standard unit vector here, E1 bar, which is your what? Which is your 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 here in times. So E1 bar A equal to E1 bar implies what? So A is an orthogonal matrix and it gives E1 bar to E1 bar, right? So E1 bar to E1 bar means this is your 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. And here is a matrix your so on, and that matrix is your 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this is your so what will be this equal to? This will simply mean that this matrix is something like first row, first column will be 1, and here it is 0. And since it is an orthogonal matrix, so this will also be 0. And here is your B, which is a member of Sn minus 1, B, which is a member of ON minus 1. So what does it mean? You remember, this simply means that ON, the isotropic subgroup of ON is your ON minus 1. This simply means that ON upon ON minus 1. And look at the right cosets here. Right action was there. So right action. So you have from here to Sn minus 1. And observe that ON acts transitively on Sn minus 1. How? ON acts transitively on Sn minus 1. How? Because if you take two distinct vectors in x and y bar here, x bar and y bar here, distinct vectors. So distinct vectors, okay. So if they are not antipodal, then they are linearly independent. They are linearly independent, so you can embed it into an orthonormal basis if they are not antipodal. X bar and y bar, if they are not antipodal, then they will not be, they will be linearly independent. Am I right? They will be linearly independent. So if they are linearly independent, you can embed it into an orthonormal basis. And if you take that orthonormal basis A and multiply it to x bar, it will take it to y bar. So that is the thing. And if it is, if it is minus 1, then you can change your a little bit with the transposition and look at the different vector, which is your so this you can do. So this is ON upon ON minus 1 is Sn minus 1, and there is a bijective correspondence. What is the bijective correspondence? The correspondence is A, you take A and ON minus 1, this right coset goes to E1A. Right coset goes to E1A. This is a bijective correspondence from here to here. Now, the question here is, can we have a continuous section from here to here? I'm sorry, the topology is involved here. We'll discuss it in a little more detail while doing representations. So if somehow you get a section here, a continuous section, if you can get a continuous section Sn minus here, then Sn minus 1 can be thought of as a subspace of ON. And if you look into the product of ON and suitably take the corresponding coset representative here in ON, then Sn-1, you will have a product in Sn-1. So for example, here you see that O4 upon O3, you have this S3, S3, right? From here to here, you have a section. What is that section? That section is this. You take an element in S3. So an element in S3 is what? An element in S3, we just described that it is a quaternion. It is a unit quaternion. So that is a A0 plus A1I plus A2J plus A3K. So any element here, A0, A1, A4 here A sigma AI square is equal to 1 is a quaternion, and that quaternion has the quaternion is here, and this is let us call this to be Q here. So then this Q will define a multiplication FQ from R4 to R4. Right, R4 is also quaternion algebra, and Q is here. So the multiplication is here, and this is invertible. So this is a bijective correspondence. You can easily observe that this FQ is also an orthogonal transformation. This is also an orthogonal transformation. FQ is also an orthogonal transformation, right? So FQ is an orthogonal transformation. So here is your Q.
One comment.
Yes.
One comment I want to make. You are talking about section of Sn-1 in ON, not the quotient, because quotient is bijective already. You are talking about section of Sn-1 in ON,
right?
not the quotient.
No,
quotient is already isomorphic, already bijective.
Yeah, but I have taken this quotient space, you see here. Quotient space लिया है ना, तो quotient space में मैंने क्या किया कि E1 bar.
What I'm saying is that you want a representative in ON, isn't it? Of the
right. So actually, whatever I have defined here, this is a map from S3 to O4. But take that coset to ON minus 1, right? See, if we have a section like this, then S of any A here, and that ON minus 1. Section means we take an element A, and A corresponds to a coset here. A coset here means a representative. So what I am doing here, so let me make it more explicit here. So section means what here? So section of any element here, you take a member A here and let us take SA. So now SA is what? SA is a coset here, and from that coset take one element, right? And I have taken the continuous section. Continuous section means one element from each coset. This S is such that it is one element from each coset. Am I right, Himadri? मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ? Continuous sections जो है Sn-1 से इस एक्शन का सेक्शन, इस एक्शन के, सो देयरफॉर ON में ये मैं, सो एक्चुअली मुझे थोड़ा सा और साफ कर देना चाहिए कि ON-1 से ON में, ON-1 से ON में एक्चुअली ये है, राइट?
कोसेंट से लेके ON तक, कोसेंट से लेके ON तक,
हाँ, and this is a bijective correspondence, so that gives to the member of ON. Am I right in my statement?
Yeah.
ठीक है, थैंक यू हिमाद्री। तो ये क्लियर है आप लोगों को? मैं थोड़ा सा यहाँ बात बहुत साफ नहीं क्या समझ रहे हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे मैं साफ कर रहा हूँ। O4 upon O3 में, you see, O4 upon O3. So you have a member over here, A1, A2, A3, A4, and look at the corresponding member here, and this member indeed defines a member of O4. Because this multiplication by this from R4 to R4 is an orthogonal transformation, right? Okay. see R4, you take any member of R4, that is a quaternion, and this is also a quaternion, multiply. So that will be a member of again R4, and this is a unit quaternion, means it is invertible. So therefore, this is bijective, and this is an orthogonal transformation. You can easily see it preserves norm also. This is orthogonal algebra. R4 is an orthogonal algebra. So therefore, it preserves norm also. And once it preserves norm also, this represents a member of O4. And so this gives you a map from this to this, and look at the coset and map it here. So that is a that gives you the bijective map. Am I right? So therefore, that multiplication gives you a section. Multiplication on R4 here, that gives you a section. So whether that is available here or not, that is a different question. Himadri is a suitable person, and he perhaps will talk about these things sometimes later. Okay, together something more. I mean, so that is so I'm sorry. Okay, so sorry. So you SU2 and O4 little bit I have done about this thing. Still the algebraic structure and the things I'll discuss more. For example, we'll come to the it's a topological topological setting a little later. So that is the thing. Now I'll quickly describe one more thing. So actually, my purpose now is to see complex versus real. Complex versus real. That we want to look into that. And okay, so right. So suppose you have a complex number a plus ib here. This you can also view as a 2 × 2 real matrix. So I'll put minus b here, and a here, right? So this is your ai plus b into -1 1. This matrix, the matrix, and so you see that C can be embedded as a subring of M2R, the 2 × 2 matrices. This is an embedding. You can easily verify that it preserves operation. And what happens to bar? Bar will be a plus I bar ib bar is the corresponding transpose matrix, right? That will be the corresponding transpose matrix, means b minus b a here. So that bar turns out to be the transpose. The conjugation turns out to be the transpose. So C can be thought of as a subring of M2R. Am I right? C can be thought of as subring of M2R, right? With this thing. So A plus IB is A minus B bar 1 A minus B into this minus BB 0 0. So that is the thing which is an embedding. So check here, you can check easily that it preserves operation, and it is injective, obviously injective map. So this is an injective ring homomorphism. So to say, it need not be surjective, but it's a ring homomorphism. So all the structures here are there in the matrix ring. So therefore, and okay, so now similarly, what you can do here, you take a matrix A, which is a complex matrix. So complex matrix, so take the real terms and the complex terms. So this you can also write as B plus I times C, where what is B? You see, suppose A is your Aij, where Aij is equal to Bij plus I Cij. So then this determines a matrix B, and this determines a matrix C. So A can be put in this form, right? So if A is equal to this, then A can be identified in in different manner. There are two ways to identify here. So A can further be identified as 2 cross 2n matrix, 2n cross 2n matrix, phase n cross n matrix. You can identify again this as B as above, B minus C, C A, C B. Right? So what it happens that you take MNC is embedded in M2NR, right? And this also you can see is an injective ring homomorphism, injective. You can check that this is an injective homomorphism, ring homomorphism. A goes to B thing, and again you see the transpose bar will take it to the transpose. Bar will take it to the transpose, right? This bar, A bar turns out to be the transpose. Whatever the bar is here is the transpose here. So that is something you observe here. So A bar, that is the thing, MNC to M. We have another identification here. See, we had this. So A is a matrix, your Aij, right? So if you write Aij equal to Bij plus I times Cij here, then this you identify to another matrix of this type. What you do in the ith row, jth column, we have 2 cross 2. So for example, here you can have A11. So A11, you write here B11 minus C11, C11, B11. So what the first row, first column entry is this. Then the second column entry will be A12 bar. So A12 bar will be equal to B12 minus C12. So that was the identification, right? This is what I am using. This A plus IB goes to AB. So this is this way I'm putting it here. So you get again, this is 2 cross 2, 2n cross 2n matrix. So there are two ways to identify a matrix MNC to MNR. So there are two embedding. So let me call this embedding to be something, say here, this to be rho and this to be eta. There are two embeddings, and both of them are injective homomorphism. So eta is also a mapping from MNC. Sometimes it is convenient to view the complex matrices as real matrices. So this is your M2NR. Right? So that is the complex. So maybe you can try to view what a unitary matrix will look like as a real matrix. So what unitary matrix will look like, and you can easily observe that under this thing, UN will be mapped to a subgroup of O2N. You can okay. So this is an I mean, maybe you can discuss next time also if you want. You can. So I'm putting an exercise and you can see it. UN is a subgroup of O2N in this in this embedding. You can easily see that this is embedding, but it is not surjective. So something more is here, and something more is here, and what is that more? And that more is actually the symplectic group. That is the that more is the I mean UN O2N is really a symplectic group. If you take the symplectic, so symplectic group I have to define. Yes, I'm sorry. So symplectic group sp2n are. So that is actually that can be so UN is as a real matrix is a subgroup of O2N, and I'll describe symplectic matrix here, symplectic group here. So let me describe quickly here, and I'll recall those things maybe next time also. So now symplectic group. What is a symplectic group? So far we were discussing the symmetric matrices. Now I'll discuss about the alternating matrices. So let us take this J to N to be a matrix which is a matrix obtained as follows. You take this identity matrix here, minus identity matrix here, and minus identity matrix here, n cross n matrix, and right, and suitable zeros here. So this is the matrix which is this, and you see that this, this is identity matrix. So this is a skew symmetric matrix. If the J2n is a skew, or you can also take so this is you can also take something another matrix which also maybe I can write as this here, which is a matrix obtained as follows: 0, -1, 1, 0, diagonal matrices. So I'm looking at 0, -1, 1, 0, and so on. So -1, 0, 1, 0. So that is the matrix. So that is another matrix. This is also a skew symmetric, and this is also a skew symmetric. And indeed, I'll say to it that these two matrices are congruent matrices. These two matrices are congruent. It's just the matter of choosing the suitable basis element so that it transforms this to this, and also this transforms this to this. So that is there. So this is, and you see that these two matrices are non-singular matrices, skew symmetric non-singular matrices. So these two will determine a non-degenerate form. These two will determine non-degenerate form. I'll come to this more explicitly next time. So these two will generate non-degenerate form. So what will be the group coming out of this matrix? Let me, the orthogonal group coming out of J2n. So it is out. So what is this? This is A, the matrix A, 2n cross 2n matrix A, such that A J2n A transpose. So now the real matrix. So that is your J2n. So what are the matrices which will preserve the non-degenerate form? So one non-degenerate form fxy is your x bar. So this is 2n cross 2n vector. X bar J2n x bar transpose. So this is a form, and this is a y bar here. So this is a skew symmetric form, and this skew symmetric form is a non-degenerate form because the corresponding matrix is non-singular. So therefore, this will determine a group, as we have already observed, and that group is this O2n which we have described here, and this is called the symplectic group. And the exercise, you can easily see that UN is precisely O2n under that identification, O2n and the symplectic group 2nr. Indeed, you can see that if you take M and C here and look at that transformation, then under that transformation, the 2n cross 2n matrices will correspond to the matrices of this type A, which is A, this J2n equal to J2n A, such that A belongs to GLN 2nr. So M and C is here M2nr. Right. So this is the thing. So naturally, we are now will have to look into the skew symmetric matrices. So this, I think, I'll describe maybe next time. Sorry, I did a little. मैं थोड़ा इधर चला गया चलिए खैर कुछ थोड़ा बहुत हुआ, बट एनीवे, तो आप लोगों को कुछ पूछना और कुछ उसमें डिस्कस करना, डिस्कस कीजिए. मैं थोड़ा ऑफ द ट्रैक भी चला गया ऐसा लग रहा है. तो राइट, तो अब मैं ये एक्सरसाइज ये भी दे दे रहा हूं कि ये देखिए ना, ये क्या है. फॉर एग्जांपल SP2 R, ये क्या है? sp2r. तो ये आसान है, इसको डिस्क्राइब कीजिए, sp2r. So sp2r and the matrix is here. Matrix J is given to be here. So maybe this is the matrix. This is the matrix. चाहिए लीजिए, दोनों matrix एक हो गई. तो right. So therefore you describe J2r, right? What will be this? J2r, sp2r क्या है? ये वो मैट्रिक्स है 2 × 2 मैट्रिक्स ABCD, such that ABCD, such that ABCD and 0, -1, 1, 0, and what is that? That is A and D, C, B, right? And this is equal to 0, -1, 1, 0. Try to describe it, you can easily observe that what is the, for simple cases you can observe. And you see what is U2, and you already know. Okay, U1 के case में तो
Why?
Yes. So yes. Any problem? So आप लोग कुछ you have any problem, please? So next time I'll describe this skew symmetric form and skew symmetric matrices and symplectic group in, a little more clearly, and maybe UN. And after that, some algebraic properties, and